So we've started off with this really basic set of lines in AutoCAD, and it's just going to give us the sort of simplified version of a floor plate and a spandrel panel. And all I'm showing you here is just a method that's fairly typical with companies using Revit. They tend to have a big library of details that they've already generated in AutoCAD. So they're going to use those in the Revit file. And Revit totally allows that, and it works fairly smoothly. It makes sense, of course, because you don't want to redo all that work. Revit is capable of doing details with all the same sort of levels of graphic clarity as AutoCAD. But it works well, doing this kind of hybrid method also. So that's what we're imitating here. So these are obviously very simplified sort of bits of geometry here to represent the spandrel panel. But you'll get the idea from here. So what I'm going to do now, I've just left the dimensions on screen there so you could quickly generate that little drawing. But I'm going to get rid of these. I don't actually need them. Would have been a little easier, I guess, to have them on a separate layer, but that's all right. I'll just get rid of them. And I would save the drawing then. Something else that you want to be aware of here that will make your life a lot easier is if this drawing is located close to the 0, 0 point. So when we bring it into Revit, sometimes there's a tendency for it to get kind of thrown off into a distant part of the drawing. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to make a quick line. So L for line, and then down below here in the command panel where it says line specify first point, I'm just going to enter 0, 0. And you can see that the 0 point is actually way over here to the left. So that has the potential to make things a little bit difficult in Revit. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all my geometry here and just move it so that this kind of central point is right at 0, 0. And I'll get rid of that reference line. And now I'll just save it. So this is just going to be a DWG file. So save as drawing. And I'll just put this on my desktop. And I'll call it my demo detail sample. Version 2013 is fine. So now that that's set up, I'm going to come in here to Revit. And what I've got here is just a basic situation where I've got the curtain wall and I've got 2 floors. So I'm just concerned with the curtain wall here. If you hadn't generated the walls in the back, that's fine. The crucial part is just to have a 2-story curtain wall with a floor plate in the middle, and that's going to simulate that spandrel panel situation. So just to show you in elevation view, or maybe I'll use a section view here to show you what that looks like. I'll just set up a new one here that spans the whole thing. So the crucial part, as I said, is just that you have the 3 levels. I've got mine 3,000 millimeters apart. And then I've got a floor plate at level 2, so that allows me to show this spandrel panel situation. So with that built, you can see here that I've got details already. I'll just do them new so you can see the process. We'll get rid of that one too. So, of course, to generate a section, I'm going to go to the View tab, and then on the Create panel, I'm going to click on Section. And this is just going to be a detail section, so I want to just make a small one. It doesn't have to span the entire building. It's just the wall I'm concerned with. The other thing I want to be aware of here is the direction of the section view. So you can tell from what I drew in AutoCAD that I want the floor plate to be on the left. I want the spandrel panel to be on the right. So right now, if I was to go into this view, of course, that would be backwards. So I need to flip that around. It's pointing in the wrong direction. So I'll just click on the section symbol here, and I'll use this double set of arrows to flip the view. So now it's looking the right way. And I can limit that view so that it doesn't go into the brick wall. I can just show the curtain wall here. And once that's set up, then I just double click on the arrowhead here. Or of course I could use my browser and expand the sections here and go to section 1. So generally speaking, when you create a new section view, the detail level is going to be low. It's just going to be a coarse. So I'm going to turn that up to fine. And then depending on your preferences, you could set this to whatever visual style you like. I'll just leave it at hidden line. So I've got the basics here of my curtain wall at the floor plate. One of the things I also did here, just for a little bit of clarity and accuracy, is I also just changed my curtain wall panels right here at the floor from the regular view panels to a solid panel, spandrel panel, of course. So you just have to tab into your panel, select it. It's probably going to be locked. There'll be a pin there, so just click on that to unlock it. And then in your properties window, you can change it from system panel solid, or sorry, from the system panel glazed to solid, and I'll give you a spandrel. So I'll go back to my section view here, and good idea at this point to change the scale as well. So most likely for a wall section, you're not going to need it at 1 to 100. You're going to be at 1 to 20 or 1 to 50. So I'll just set it to 1 to 50. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a call-out detail or call-out view of the spandrel panel. So on that same View tab, Create Panel, I'm going to click on Callout, and I'll zoom out a little bit and just drag out this callout view and click to make the placement there. And you can see that it does a good job of giving you the sort of standard callout box graphics. So it's got a non-continuous rounded edge box here, and it gives you the symbol, which will eventually have drawing references in it. It's always blank, and it's populated automatically when you drag it onto a sheet. So don't worry about there being no data in there. So just kind of move this around so you can get it in a proper spot. And then just like the section view, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on the symbol. And notice that as soon as you created the section or the callout view in the section part of the browser here, it creates that new view. So callout of section 1. And what you have now, again, is a drawing that's at a fairly large scale. This happens to be 1 to 25. So just try to anticipate what scale you're going to want to print this at. Let's say 1 to 10. And now all I have to do is just go to the Insert tab and click on Import CAD. And just navigate to that DWG file. And I just left mine on the desktop, so I'll go to that drawing there. Now, these settings at the bottom are pretty important. You want to get these right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Current View Only. So that means it's just going to land in this one view. It's not going to be something that I would sort of see sort of randomly placed in the 3D view. So I'll click Current View Only. I'm going to change the colors from the AutoCAD colors to black and white. And I'm going to go with all layers. I'll leave the import units at auto detect. Revit and AutoCAD speak fairly well together. And then for positioning, I'm going to go to manual center. And then I'll click on open. And there you can see that because I used manual center, it's allowing me to place that AutoCAD drawing manually. And just judging by where it is in relation to my cursor there, it's just centering it. So what I'll do here is I'll just kind of do my best guess to put it in place. And then luckily, this AutoCAD drawing, you can snap to it so you can sort of refine the position a little bit. Now notice that when you bring it in, it's going to be behind your Revit data. So what I would do to get the placement right is I would switch this view to wireframe. That way you'll be able to see everything. Click on the drawing. And if you're unsure what's the drawing and what's the Revit content, just look in your properties window there so you can see that that's the DWG. And then I'll use my move tool. And I'll just snap from here to here. Now, I had a 200 millimeter floor slab that I generated in AutoCAD, and it matched up to my 200 millimeter floor slab in Revit. So just be aware of that as well. If you had just sort of randomly generated a floor in Revit, typically it's a 400 millimeter floor. So just try to get these to match up as much as possible. And then I'm going to go back to my hidden line view, which of course is going to block out my DWG. What you need to do now is you need to, in order to block out the Revit so that the AutoCAD will show in the front, is the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the drawing, the DWG, and once you've clicked on it in the upper right, you'll see that you have the option to explode it. And I'm going to do just a partial explode so that it's not reduced to individual lines. It still kind of has some component attributes. And so now you can see that it's on top, but it's still kind of competing with my Revit data. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go now to the Annotate tab, and I will use the Region tool, specifically the masking region. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this to block out the Revit data so that it's just the AutoCAD information that I see. So I'll click on Masking Region, and I'm just going to basically draw the stuff in Revit that I want to block out. The thing you want to be aware of here is that you have to specify a line style. So up here in the upper right, it'll go to default thin lines. You want to change that to invisible lines. So just like when you display a hatch in AutoCAD and you might not want to see the border of the hatch, same idea. So if I do invisible lines, then I won't see the border of my masking region. And I'm not going to treat this with any great accuracy here. I'll just do a really simple box, something like that. Click the green check mark, and it'll go blue just to kind of highlight the selected region, the new region there. Just click anywhere else to drop it. And now you can see that what it's done is it's blocked out the Revit data, and it's left you with just the AutoCAD. So that's how you would get your AutoCAD information into Revit and not have to do everything again in Revit. Once you've done that, just sort of as a final sort of matter of finish, all of these lines here in Revit, you can see they still kind of maintain some of their information because we only did a partial explode. So what you'll want to do there in order to sort of set up line weights and such, remember that if you hit TL in Revit, it'll kind of simulate those line weights on screen. That command is also available up here. It's this one right here. So TL just sort of toggles between the sort of thin line weights and then the actual line weights. So what you'll want to do here is you'll want to just click on your lines, and you could just go to override graphics in view by element, and then you could control your line weights right here. So that's a way to just kind of right on the spot in this specific instance control your line weights.